Hi everyone, it's Shannon. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button because I bring you new DIYs, tutorials, and new inspiration every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you enjoy Dollar Tree projects, you'll find a lot of those here. And I have another one for you today. We're going to be making a farmhouse style gnome using mainly all Dollar Tree supplies. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's a look at the supplies I grabbed from Dollar Tree to create this cute little gnome guy. So the main item you'll need is this mop. Yes, the mop is going to be the beard of our gnome. I also have a bag of beans here. These are just great northern beans. It's a 1 pound bag, just for reference. I also have a black and white t-shirt, one of the buffalo check scarves, and a package of ping pong balls. So let's go ahead and get to work on creating this adorable gnome. The first thing I'm going to do is paint this ping pong ball with apple barrel paint. This is in the color light mocha. I'm going to use a foam paintbrush for that. You could leave it white if you want. You could paint it any color you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and do this just so it stands out a little bit against the mop, which is going to be the beard, so that the nose doesn't kind of get lost in the color of the mop. Alright, so now we're going to work on the base of the gnome. So I have this bag of beans here. And we basically want to shift all the beans to the bottom here so it'll sit up for us. But I also want to cover it up with some fabric here to cover it. That way you don't really see the beans. It's going to get covered. It'll just kind of be a dark background. So I'm using the black t-shirt for that. I'm going to use my hot glue gun and glue sticks to kind of close up the edges, and my scissors to cut it all down to size. Alright, so I wanted to show you what I did here. This is the seam where I glued it. So I basically just wrapped this up like a burrito. So the bottom is covered and then it's folded over in the front here. And then what you saw me doing is I was actually pushing down into the middle of the beans because we're going to put our mop in there and I needed to leave a little space. So this is the mop, and when you detach it from the handle, it just screws right off. There's this little plastic piece left, so we needed to leave some room within there for that to sit down into. So I just pushed down in there and then I glued the fabric around the edges on the inside and then folded it over in the front. And it doesn't have to look real nice. This is going to be the front because the mop is going to cover that up. You're not going to see it. And then this is going to be the back, which is the nicer side, so that if you set this on a shelf and you can see it from different angles, you see the nicer part on the back. And then the front, even though it's not the nice side, it's going to get covered and you're not going to see it anyway. So what I'm going to do is use my hot glue and tuck that little plastic piece down into the middle area that I left in the top there. Alright, so for this next step, we are going to be using the scarf, the t-shirt, Mod Podge, and a foam paintbrush. And the problem with these scarves is, and I've heard this a lot, is that they're just really hard to work with. They are really thin, and so I want to use these items to create the hat, but we need to do some cutting and some gluing, and it's just not going to work with just the scarf by itself. So my idea here is to cut down the t-shirt to size and then to Mod Podge the scarf on top of it. That way you won't see through the scarf. The t-shirt will give it more of a solid look instead of the see-through look. And it'll also make it a lot easier for us to work with to create the gnome's hat. All right, so just to catch you up, what I did is I folded my t-shirt in half so that way I could cut 2 triangles out, and I made sure after I cut them that they were going to wrap around the head here. They're also made out of t-shirt material, which has some give to it, so that's a good thing too. So it'll stretch a little bit if we need to. And then I just put some Mod Podge on top of the t-shirt material and laid the scarf on top. So I'm just gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna come back in and cut those triangles out. That way we have buffalo check triangles to piece together our hat. All right, so here they are cut out, and as you can see, this does not have to be perfect. My edges are pretty terrible, but I'm gonna put my right sides together, so the buffalo check against the buffalo check, and use my hot glue gun to piece these together. And then I'm also going to make a little hem on the bottom here to cover up that rough edge. And then that's gonna give us our hat. Now, of course, you can use fabric for this. You could use whatever you want for this. Actually, I'm just making use of what Dollar Tree has, and so I'm trying to make that work. This is a really inexpensive way to do it, but of course, you could always use a towel that you have on hand, fabric that you have on hand. But if you'd like to use these scarves, I definitely recommend adding this little backing from the t-shirt on there just to give it some more thickness to it, so it'll look nice once we put it on our gnome. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the hot glue and create the hat. All right, so here's my cute little hat. I definitely think if you used fabric and a sewing machine, you're gonna get a nicer result. But for using Dollar Tree supplies, I don't think that's so bad at all. So I'm just going to hot glue that around the top of the mop or the gnome's head. All right, so here's the hat on there, and now I'm going to take my ping pong ball and sort of tuck it underneath the hat a little bit and stick it into the mop. That way it's all tucked in there and gives him his little nose. Thank you all so very much for joining me for today's tutorial. I think this guy turned out so cute. Please give this video a thumbs up for me. Also, you can follow me over my social media pages. I will link those down in the description box below. You can also hit that subscribe button, and I have more DIY tutorials in the link next to me. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.